Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This week I was just thinking, I am so glad that I got to live in this time.
Yes.
I mean, I know there's a lot going on, a lot of scary stuff and crazy stuff happening here. I'm disappointed with some decisions our government's been making and some things like that. But still yet, I'm just glad I got to be here. People for generations have been looking forward to the time we live in right now. They've been reading their Bible and thinking, oh, I wonder what it'll be like when just before the Lord comes back. But we get to be here. We get to see all this happen, and between me and you, for lost people or people that don't know the Lord, it's a scary time, absolutely, and it is. But for those of us who are born again, who are waiting for the Lord to come back, this is an exciting time. We're not afraid. I ain't afraid of nothing, are you? Man, the Lord's coming back. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And so this is a great, great time to be alive. And I want you to be encouraged. If you know the Lord, I don't want you to be moping around and down and out and discouraged and beat up. This is a great time. Lift up your heads. Redemption draweth nigh. And as we're going to close our text out today, the last thing he says is, therefore encourage one another with these words. And these are encouraging words, encouraging days. Even though there's storm clouds on the horizon and we feel the darkness crowding in on us, we know the morning is coming. Someday the sun's going to come back again. This morning, I've been preaching a series for a long time now called Prepare Now. And I believe this is a good time to prepare. I don't think there's a better time to begin to get ready, to get your heart ready, your life ready, your family ready. Matt Canovi's here with us today to talk to us about some security issues, about how to get ready in those areas and those issues. But today I want to talk about the big picture, and we're in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. I'll give you a little time to find it. It's one of the shorter books in the New Testament, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And that's where we are today. We're going to be looking at the rapture. I've never preached a sermon explicitly on the rapture. And so today I'm going to sort of try my best to talk about that. Now, I'm going to take about 10 minutes before I get into the sermon. But I want to set the stage for you by going back and bringing you on a panoramic visit to history, all the way back to the beginning, all the way to the end. This morning, in one swoop, we're going to look at history and see where we are, where the rapture fits, and what's coming after that, etc. Just so you'll get an understanding of where we are in relationship to everything that's going on in God's world. First of all, this is God's calendar we're going to be looking at today. It's not humans' calendar. And if you've got something on your calendar that conflicts with what's on God's calendar, you better change your calendar, right? Because God's calendar takes precedent. He has veto power. So just make sure that you are in tune with Him. Now, let's start the journey. Run your tapes back as far as you can go. Let's go back billions of years. All right? Billions of years. I didn't say millions. I said billions of years. Run back that far. We don't know how it all began. Scientists today are refer to it as the big expansion or the Big Bang. Yeah. But God stepped out on the front porch of heaven and He said, let there be. And there was. And He took a singularity, a single cell, and He took His finger and He pushed it from the heavenly dimension into a brand new dimension that didn't exist before. And everything we know about happened in one time and began to expand. And now we have our universe. There's still a lot that went on during those billions of years. We don't know. There's no recorded history. The Bible is pretty much silent on it. There's a few little references in Job and a few other places. But mostly we don't know anything that happened in the universe for 14 or 13 some odd billion years. But I guarantee you stuff went on. All right? Now, but we don't know about it. Now, let's come way forward in time. Almost to yesterday. 6,000 years ago. All right? Let's go back 6,000 years. At that moment in time, God created, or as we read in verse 1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And then we come to verse 2, and the earth was chaotic and void. There's two words we've talked about, the tohu, bohu, the old ancient Hebrew words, meaning that it was empty and void. It was chaotic and nothing here. And so then God began to move over the waters, as you read Genesis, and He brought life, He brought energy, He brought warmth, He brought beauty to planet Earth, and He made a perfect planet. And I believe He created or recreated this perfect place. Now, a lot of people say, why was the earth chaotic and destroyed? Why was all this going on? Well, we don't know why the earth was tohu and bohu, but we do know that there was a war in heaven that could be responsible for what the earth looked like in Genesis chapter 1. We don't know that, but it says that the angels, the Lucifer made war in heaven, and Michael the archangel made war against him and whatever. But I think that there's a lot going on there we don't know about, but nevertheless, God brought order to this place and made a beautiful, beautiful planet, perfect in every way. It was gorgeous. It was called the Garden of Eden. It's like a Garden of Eden. And in this garden, God put a brand new creature, a critter that had never existed before in the universe. A brand new creature. And this creature is called man, human. And He put that man in the Garden of Eden, and He told him, said, here you go, this is a perfect place, live in a perfect place. And He said, I'm going to be here with you. Now get this, the God who created the universe walked with Adam in the garden, and they walked and talked together. They communicated. We don't know how long, maybe thousands of years. We don't know how long they existed together in the Garden of Eden, and they walked together, talked together. They had fellowship. Then, after God had put animals on the earth and created this and that, He looked at Adam, and Adam looked sad and kind of lonely, and He said, Adam, I think I know what's wrong with you. You need a woman. Now, that's not W-O-E, man, okay? Whoa. No, it's a whoa. It's a whoa, man. That's how you say that whoa. You say, woo-wee, whoa, man. You don't say whoa. Okay. You get the point. So He created a woman. And He said, now, Adam, this woman is going to be your helper. She's going to meet your needs. In other words, she's going to be your other half. And in my case, it's the better half, all right? And so I'm going to give you a woman, and she's going to be there where you're yin, she's yang, where you're up, she's down, where you're, where you are intellectual, she's emotional. I don't know that it always works that way, but, you've read the book of Venus and Mars and all that stuff. So He said, that's the way I'm going to do it. It's going to be here. Now, this woman is going to be a blessing to you, a partner to you. And that's how they lived. And what joy Adam had when he met Eve, and when they began to relate to one another and live together in perfect harmony. They never had an argument. They never... It was quite a marriage, wasn't it? Anybody in here like that? No, sorry about that. And they lived together in perfect harmony, in this perfect place, walking with the God that made them. Well, one day, another creature entered the story. And this other creature comes to us in a metaphoric form of a dragon, Dracos, or snake, or serpent, is how this other creature appeared. And this creature was an upright snake. He wasn't on like snakes today. So I don't know exactly what this thing was, okay? But it was a serpent, the Bible calls it. That's the name we have. And it tempted Eve. It said, Eve, I know God said you could do anything you wanted to do, except He told you to stay away from this one tree in the middle of the garden. And He said, yeah, He did. He told us not to eat of it, and she added to it, and He told us not to touch it. Well, God didn't say not to touch it. He just said don't eat it. And so the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden was there, and the serpent, the snake said, oh, you know what, Eve, God's He's not really lying, but He's keeping something from you. And if you'd eat that, and I know He said not to, but if you'd eat it, said your eyes you'd come open. I mean, you'd have an understanding. You could understand like God. Your intellect would be expanded. You'd understand things. You'd know right from wrong. You'd know good from evil. You'd understand all the philosophy, the mathematics, the physics, all the things of the universe. You'd understand it because God's keeping that from you. And then he said, and you could be like God yourself. And Eve said, well, that's a pretty good deal. Maybe God is taking advantage of us, and so I'm going to take this fruit and I'm going to take it back to Adam, and we're going to eat it and see what happens. And they did. And then the planet was cursed. Adam and Eve were cursed. In other words, God spoke up the opposite of a blessing on them. And he said, now, because you've done this, you're going to die. Now you say, well, that's just not fair. But there is a rule written in the spiritual universe. It's called sin equals death. So it's a spiritual law. When a person sin, always equals death. When you sin, you die. And so Adam and Eve then began to die. They started dying. The planet was cursed. The earth was cursed. How many of you have Canadian thistles in your pastures that you wish you weren't there? Or how many have weeds that grow up in your garden? I got this grass called Bermuda grass. The devil invented it himself. Put it in my garden. I mean, it's there. It's mean. Well, before the curse, there was no weeds. You take a tomato plant, stick it in the ground, and 5 minutes later, you'd be eating tomatoes. Right? By the way, folks, we're getting to be that time of year when I need to tell you, be sure and lock your cars. Be sure don't leave your cars open, because it's zucchini season. And if you're not careful, you'll come out from church and your car will be full of zucchini. I just want to warn you, be careful. Because when a gardener gets planting zucchini, he can't quit, and before long you'll have a pickup load of it, so just be careful.
My car's unlocked.
Anyway, the garden was a perfect place, and it grew profusely, and it was wonderful. But the problem was we decided not to follow God anymore. We stopped following Him. And not only did Adam and Eve stop following, all of his kids did, and that's us. We went our own way. And we sort of got kicked out of the garden, and we brought confusion and chaos back to the planet. Time went on. Fast forward now. We're going to go to another man, and one of Noah's sons. And I'm going to skip the whole Noah story. I wish I could go back to that. But we have a man named Abram. And Abram, we call him Abraham. And God came to Abraham and he said, Abraham, I like you. And I see great potential in you. And if you will do what I say, if you'll honor me, if you'll bless me, if you'll follow me and believe in me, I will bless you. Now remember, at this point things had been cursed. He said, if you'll follow me, I'll bless you. And so Abraham said, I believe you, God, and I'll follow you. And so he followed God. And God used Abraham to create a nation of people. Now, out of this nation of people, there was a prophecy that began to be preached. The prophets would talk about it. Everybody would begin, the writers would begin to write about it. One day there's going to be coming this person. This person is called the Messiah, the Hamashiach, and he's going to come to this earth. He's going to be like King David. He's going to rule on David's throne. He's going to be wonderful. He's going to be everything we, Abraham's children, need. And so they begin to preach about him, and then we move on into the New Testament times. The prophecy was still being preached. We move to the New Testament. And then on one night, the angels announced the birth of a baby boy, born in Bethlehem's manger. And this baby boy, we know his name was Jesus, and he is the Son of God, born from God himself, born of Mary without a father. He was a virgin boy born there in that manger, and he is the Messiah. He rose, he lived his life, he lived a perfect life for 33 years. He was crucified by Roman soldiers, buried in a tomb. 3 days later, he rose again. Then for a period of weeks, he was around with his followers after he came back to life. And I'm going to talk about the body he had on in just a little bit later. But he was glorified in that body, and then he went back to heaven. All right, so that's where we're going to leave him right now. The last time we saw him, he was leaving earth back to heaven on a cloud. In other words, he was going back up into heaven. Now, let me sort of tell you what's going on then. After he went to heaven, the Holy Spirit came, and has been living in our hearts. The Spirit of God has been living in the church, in our hearts, for the past 2,000 years. Now let's do a little mathematics. I said 6,000 years ago, Adam and Eve were in the garden. 6,000 years ago, God created Adam and Eve. And then for these 6,000 years, counting 4 before the New Testament and 2 since, these 6,000 years, man has been running planet Earth. We've been electing the kings. We've been having rulers, Caesars, and you pick the Genghis Khans. You just pick out. People have been ruling planet Earth for 6,000 years. We're about to enter the 7,000th year. That's where we're going to today. We're about finished with man's rule on planet Earth. We've not done a very good job. Amen? But there is one coming that's going to do it right. And it's the same one that 2,000 years ago went to heaven. He's going to come back. And that's getting us about to where I'm going to start my sermon today, okay? I just want you to know where this all fits in together. Now, we're going to be using a topic, a subject today called the rapture. That's what we're going to be talking about. When a person dies, their body deteriorates. It goes back to the elements of the earth. Cremation, when they cremate a person, they're burned down to molecules size, and we're just dust. If a person is not cremated and just laid in a casket, in about 500 years, they tell us the same thing as if you were cremated. In other words, we go back to dust, is what happens. Whether you're cremated or whether you're buried, it's irrelevant, because we're all going to turn back into dust, the elements of the earth. Same thing God used to make Adam. One day a scientist came to God and he said, God, I'm just as good as you are. I can create life. And then God said, oh, really? Yeah. He said, I can. So the guy got a piece of dirt, took it in his factory and into his science laboratory, and he began to work. And God says, wait a minute, whoa, where'd you get the dirt? If you're going to create life, you've got to start with your own dirt. See, God made us out of nothing. I don't know how I got off onto that. Just keep going. Forget I said it. So we got these earthly bodies. When you die, you turn back into dust. But not the real you. Because you see, the real you leaves this dimension of earth, and it changes it goes to heavenly dimension. It crosses over that boundary that God has put between physical and metaphysical, physical and spiritual. God has put a boundary there, but we go through that veil, that portal, that opening, that gate, and we move into our eternal existence with spirit bodies. And we go home and we're up there with the Lord. Paul told us that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So that's what we're talking about today. So that's where they are. Everybody that you love that's died is now with the Lord. All right? And they're there waiting. Now some, of course, are not there because they don't believe in Him. And they're already experiencing the absence of light and life. Okay, so those that love the Lord are there with Him, and they're waiting for an event. Now here's the event that's going to happen. One day, and I believe very, very soon. I don't believe there's anything else that has to happen before we're ready for this event. And it's called the rapture. And the Lord is going to come back from heaven, and He's going to come back, and He's going to call all those bodies that are in the grave. And all of them are going to come back together. All the bodies. Now, the dead bodies are going to reconstruct. They're going to knit back together, like Ezekiel when he preached to the valley of dry bones. Yeah. Remember how the bones came back together and they stood up, a mighty army. Well, God's going to do that again with these bodies. Now, here's the good thing. The bodies that He's going to reconstruct are not going to come back like they were put in the ground. Now, see, I'm going to come back different and better, and so will you. I'm going to be, David said I was going to be 6 foot. I think I'm going to be 6'2", David. 6'2", and have dark hair way down here. I may want it in big old ponytail. I don't know, David. There's going to be a lot of hair and skin, not skinny, but just about 200 pounds. 6'2", about 200 pounds. And that's it. But anyway, my point is, we're going to be different when we come back. Glorified. We get to eat. We can walk on the planet, or we can fly if we want to. We could go to the other side of the moon and see what's over there if we wanted to. In other words, we will not be limited in any way whatsoever. Okay, now just get that. That's how we come back out of the grave. Now, the spirits that have gone home to be with the Lord, they're waiting. And when Jesus comes back for the rapture, those saints are going to come with him. All those departed people are going to come with him. And the bodies that they left back on the earth are going to be changed, fly up into heaven. And the spirits that come back, they're going to come back together and be reunited. Eternal spirit in an eternal perfect body. They're going to be reunited, and they're going to live then forever with that. Now, that's where we leave that. Then, those who will remain as alive, let's say you're still alive, you will be changed instantly. You'll be changed instantly and join them. It's like boom, boom. It's like that. Boom, boom. The dead first, then we who are alive and remain will be caught up to meet them in the twinkling of an eye. How fast is that? Pretty fast. So, here's what happens. Then we go back to heaven. We go back to heaven with the Lord, and we're up there, and we're going to have a big old supper. We're going to get together and eat. Now, I believe it's going to be a 7-year feast, but I mean, everybody's got a different idea. But I believe we're going to be up there for a long time. It's called the marriage supper of the Lamb. We're the bride, he's the groom. And he's going to come and get us. We're going to go to heaven, and we're going to celebrate with this great feast. And it's going to be absolutely wonderful. Everything there will be beautiful. Rewards will be given out. God's going to introduce us to all the heavenly hosts and introduce us. And it's going to be great. Then, after supper, we're all going to get up and go get on our horses. I'm not kidding you. We're all going to get up from that supper and go get on a horse. A white horse. Read it. It's in the Bible. It's plain as day. And then on our horses, we're coming back, riding horses through the dimensional gates from heaven's dimension back to this planet, and we're going to come back, and the Lord's going to lead us, and he's going to be the first one through. We're right behind him, and he's going to destroy all the works of the devil, and then he's going to set up a kingdom in Jerusalem. He's going to set up a throne in Jerusalem. He's going to rule planet Earth for 1,000 years, and we're going to be with him and help him do whatever it is we need to do, whatever he wants us to do. But that's the scenario, that's the big picture. Then after that, there's a little struggle, a little scuffle again as God once again deals with Lucifer. This time he's going to deal with him finally and cast him in the lake of fire. And then we're going to move off into eternity. I don't know what that's going to be either. Now, that's the whole picture that I wanted to tell you today. Now, Thessalonians, these people who lived in Thessalonica, are the people that this letter was written to. They were a little bit ignorant. Now, I'm a little ignorant, but ignorance is fixable, right? You can't fix stupid. But you can fix ignorant, all right? Ignorance is just information. So Paul said, I don't want you guys to be ignorant. Let's read it. So that you do not grieve like the 1 Thessalonians 4, and I think we're about 13. Yeah, brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed or ignorant about those who sleep in death. So how does the rapture happen? Now, I'm going to be quick. I'm almost done. But how does the rapture happen? First of all, the deceased believers come out of their graves before the living believers. Let's read it in verse 15. According to the Lord's word, we tell you that we who are still alive, we are left until the coming of the Lord, will certainly not precede those who have fallen asleep. In other words, the dead come first. Now, let's keep going. Verse 16. This is the neatest part about it. Because when we get out of the grave, the dead first, then we are alive, we're changed, we fly to meet the Lord. But notice who we meet in the air. Let's read it together. For the Lord himself will come down. The Lord himself. Not an angel, not a representative, not a glorified human, but the King of Kings, the Lord himself. The same one that in John chapter 1 said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by him. And without him, there wasn't anything made that was made. In other words, the creator of the universe is the Lord, and the Lord is coming, and that's who we're going to go be with. Not some appointed representative, but the boss.
Yes, amen.
The head one, the Lord himself. Now, before the rapture happens, there's going to be a great announcing sound happen. There's going to be noises heard all over planet Earth. Extremely loud noises. 3 or 4 different kinds of noises we're going to hear. Now, some people are afraid, well, I'm almost deaf and I don't hear well. I hope I don't miss this sound. You won't miss these sounds. Have you ever gone to a racetrack and you've gotten close when the cars came by? Even if you couldn't hear them, you felt the airwaves. Trust me, you're going to hear these noises in your very inner being. Let's read about it. Let's read 16. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command. Not a quiet one, not a shy one, not a subtle one, but a loud command with the voice of the archangel. Now, what does an archangel sound like? Man, I don't know. But my imagination says that's going to be big and loud and boisterous and noisy. And with the trumpet call of God. Now, when the Jewish people went to war, they blew a trumpet. Or when they announced some big thing happening, they blew a trumpet, a shofar. And they'd blow it. Like that. It kind of had that sound. It went literally close to what I just did. And what this trumpet call of God will be something, I don't know, probably a whole lot better than that, but loud and announcing. We won't miss it. All right. Point. I think I made the point. Verse 17. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Now the word caught up is the word rapture. People tell me, well, the word rapture is not even in the Bible. I've had people tell me that. I say, you read it in the original language. Because in the original language, the word caught up is translated from the word R-A-P. It's for ripping, for tearing, for raping, for snatching away. It's that sudden removal. Okay, so the Lord will be caught up together with the Lord in the air, the rapture. Now here's the good part. I'd like to preach another 7 hours on this, but I'm going to quit. But when rapture happens, we're going to be with Jesus forever. Forever and ever and ever. As many times as I could say ever, we're going to be with Him. The same one that every eye in heaven is wanting to behold. Every creature that's ever been created, everything that has wanted to be around Him because He's the most intelligent, the most interesting, the most beautiful creature ever. And we, listen to me now, I don't know why. Why us? Why man? I don't get it. I don't know why. But we, human beings, He chosen to be to accompany Him. We're His bride.
Yes.
I don't go anywhere without my bride. Do you? I mean, I love my spouse. And we are constantly together. We go everywhere together. I go with her because I love her. And that's the way it is going to be forever in eternity. We're going to be with Jesus forever. Now, always when I preach a sermon, I make myself answer this question, so what? So what? Big deal. In other words, what does that mean to me? What do I need to do? And here's how this is answered for me perfect. Paul finishes here. He says in verse 18, therefore encourage one another with these words. Yeah. That's what we do. We encourage each other. Right. Hey, if you get down and discouraged, you don't like what the Supreme Court did, and you don't like the direction our government's going, or you don't like the way your family's developing, or you don't like your job, encourage one another with these words. Yeah. The Lord is coming back. Yeah. Be encouraged. Lift up your heads. Redemption draweth nigh. The darker it gets, the closer the light is. Come on. I'm telling you, it's getting close to time for the Lord to come back and take His church home. What do you need to do to be ready? What do you need to do? How do I get ready, preacher? What do I do? Well, it's not, you can't do anything. All right? It's way too late for you to do something. You got to believe. Not do, but you have to believe. Believe what? Believe that the Lord Jesus, believe He's the Lord Jesus Christ. Believe in Him. Believe He's God's Son. Believe that whole deal. Confess your sins. Be honest about it. Say, God, I'm a sinner. I know it. By the way, aren't we all sinners? I mean, let's face it. We're all messed up. We all blew it. We're goofed up. We're all sinners. Just to be honest about it. Say, God, I'm a sinner. I know it. But I believe in Jesus.
Yes. Amen.
Jesus said, if you believe, you will be saved. It's simple. It's heart. It starts in the heart, goes to the head and then the feet and the hands. It gets everything, but it starts in the heart and will believe. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. Jesus